How's the gig economy shaped entrepreneurship? I remember you said you're an entrepreneur. So how has the gig economy shaped entrepreneurship in Kenya? And what opportunities do you see for young innovators?
Yeah. I feel like we have way too many young people getting into the job market for it not to expand. It has to expand by force, by fire. And the gig economy has been able to do that for us, because now we are not looking at careers. I remember even having a conversation with an early child development teacher, and I was asking her whether it would be possible for her to think about the digital space so that she could be able to equip. I know Riara does that, but for her, being in Nakuru, they haven't yet explored such things. I feel like technology, flexi work, all the apps that we're able to create are creating so many opportunities. So how it's been able to shape entrepreneurship. The gig economy gives you flexibility, gives you barriers that you're able to, not just imagine breaking, but actually breaking. So how it's shaped entrepreneurship, it's first and foremost remove the notion that we only need to be doctors, teachers. But then again, we can be doctors in different capacities. We can have healthcare apps. We can have tech people who are thinking about how they can be able to revolutionize finance in the healthcare space. We've been having a whole, conversation, countrywide conversation about that. There's a finance person who's looking at education. How can we be able to? So it's been able to also integrate a lot of economies, a lot of careers. And I love that, because when we're starting this conversation, we said multi-skilled world right now. So you don't just sit back and say, I'm going to be an artist and that's it. I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to use my artistry to do this, to do that. I'm attending a tech expo. Is it really an expo? It's a tech, I hope you guys are going to be there, by the way. It's called Latitude. I'm going to attend that, and the reason why I'm attending that is because I want to see how I can be able to get music into not just DSPs, not just distribution, using technology for distribution, but what else can we be able to do in that space? So we have a new breed of entrepreneurs. We have a new breed of people who don't honestly need to work a 9 to 5, who honestly do not need to go to the office. They're working from their beds, yeah? We hate it, but we have to come to terms with it because we have to wake up and leave. We have a completely different type of entrepreneur who has access to money so quickly, yeah? At the ages, when I went for the last Latitude, I felt like the oldest person in the room, because it was just a group of 20-year-olds who had brilliant ideas. And money was just available for them to have brilliant ideas. Yeah. So we keep on saying, oh, there's no money, but it just feels like there's a more creative group of young people who are stepping into the market, knowing very well that the opportunities that were there are so jam-packed, and they have to create opportunities for themselves. And that's how it has shaped entrepreneurship right now, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I think what I'm getting from that is it has also removed the boxes of I just have to be a doctor and that's it. I'll be a doctor from day one until...
We're thinking in, out, around, over and above the box now.
Absolutely. Maybe I can hear from Kavata on the same question. How do you think the gig economy has kind of shaped entrepreneurship from a finance perspective?
I think when I studied finance here, my expectation was I would work in an investment firm, for example, or I would work at a bank, or a stockbroker, whatever, But I think part of the learning allowed me to open up my mind and to see the gaps that are there. And I remember a particular class Dr. Kinoti taught us, and it's very interesting. It was down here, yet a lot of our finance classes were up there. It was a personal finance class that only finance major students were taking. But what were we being taught? We were being taught how to budget. We were being taught to have a personal balance sheet, an income statement as an individual. And I remember sitting there and wondering, why isn't this a university common unit? Because all of us are handling money. Yes. You know what I mean, right? And for me, that's where the idea of teaching people how to handle their money came. All right, so I come to school, I want to work in the investment space, but my mind is opened up to, there's a gap, all right? All of us, whatever space we are in, handle money. And so then how do I leverage on the skills that I have and be able to earn from it? And because I love finance, I'm excited doing it. So for me, I saw an opportunity just by what I picked up from here. Yeah.
So I hear there was an opportunity created within the finance space as you were studying. Yes. You saw a gap, you jumped into it. Yes. And I think what the space you're in is almost, if I may call it disruptive, yes, because you didn't follow the path that was typical. Absolutely. And I have to say also, I have worked. I have been employed, okay? And that also adds to it, so that then when I am talking about your typical investment products, I'm a product of having worked in a typical 9 to 5, all right? And then I borrow from that, and it helps me then to serve you better in terms of the work that I do. It wasn't a typical curve again, because I started with, how do we teach children about money, okay? So that's where I started and created a product and approached parents and said, hey, your children will spend money at some point, but they need to know how to use this money. Created a program, used the networks around me to help get me my first clients, train these kids, wrote a book in the process, a story that kids can use to learn about money. And so it's not a typical curve that you'd expect, but then you earn from it and you enjoy doing it, and it keeps diversifying, I have to say. It's not a straight line, because that gives birth to, oh, I can also talk to adults, you know. I can also talk to businesses. So it's not a straight line. However, it started at that finance degree. Yeah. Absolutely. I remember when I was trying to figure out how to teach my son matters finance or matters money handling. And the best idea I came up with was Monopoly. And we played Monopoly, and in my head I was thinking, God, I'm really parenting, eh? Yeah. In my element, teaching about money. Yeah. So, but you see, that's the space we're talking about, because you saw a gap where children are handling money now, and later, instead of us having to teach them how to do that later on in life, she's come up with a program that is kid-friendly on how to teach children to handle money. All right, Jean, how do you think gig economy has influenced the entrepreneurship space or entrepreneurship?
So from my perspective, I feel like it's so dynamic. The gig economy is so dynamic, and for me personally, no two days look alike. So the biggest influence is that it leads you to really push yourself, because kauta jituma, then there's nothing that's going to come for you. So you really, really need to work hard and push yourself. You need to market yourself. You know, every time you see someone, you're like, na unikumbuke. When you're doing the next thing, please have me in mind. I've seen you guys are doing this. Is there space? So you really, really have to get out of your shell, as Avril has pointed out, and you need to truly push yourself. Yeah. Yes.
When Jean says ujitume, if there's somebody ujituma, it's Jean. Because from the very first day Jean stepped foot into this campus, we knew she has arrived. We knew. There was no ignoring her. So it's either you had to give her a gig or you don't come to Riara. Either way, you're going to see her, you're going to engage her. And I'm happy to say that as Riara, we've engaged Jean several times. To just promote the product and promote the service, and it's been amazing. Equal free. Hatukumlipa na experience. No, we didn't. Because for us, if we are going to teach appreciating skill and appreciating what everybody is doing, is there's a reward for it and there's payment for it, and people are making money and are living out of this. So I feel for me it's a way of respect, you know, for us as an institution to recognize a student who is doing something in the industry and say, look, we recognize what you're doing, we want that service, tuma rate card. Alitutumia rate card na haikuwa ndogo.
Yeah, I definitely feel extremely supported by the university. As you've said, we've worked together not once, not twice, and I'm so happy you've brought it up because one hii semester, so nikumbuke. And even just having me on this panel is also a form of support. And the university as a whole supports so many different students in different ways. Like if there's a graphic designer, that's the person who is going to design all of our leaflets, etc. whenever we have events. When we have photographers, videographers, all the ones you see around are students here at the university. So I'm extremely glad that